what, Chamberlain, without electricity, of course, there's no business, no economic activity at all. And laudable idea there. But as we always say, we like to see it go beyond the talks into the works. And well, you've highlighted there the role of the local government. They should take this up. After all, they are closest to the people. And this is opportunity for him partnering with private sector and all of that. At the end of the day, we want electricity in the country. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Business Morning on Sunrise Daily. We do business for just about 30 minutes. We begin from, not from the global space today. We're starting from home, taking a look at the Naira. It was, well, an inverse relationship is what we saw in the Naira yesterday. While NAFEX appreciated, we saw a big drop on NAFEM, keeping our eyes on NAFEM, knowing that that's the major market. On NAFEX, the Naira gained 10 Naira 86 kobo. That's NAFEX. So it opened at 1,673 Naira 95 kobo, but closed at 1,663 Naira 9 kobo. But here is our fare today. 8.25% drop on NAFEM, which is the major market right there. So while it opened at 1,541 Naira 94 kobo, it closed at 1,669 Naira 15 kobo. That's a drop of 127 Naira 21 kobo. What happened in the market yesterday? Well, we know that the CBN has been anticipating or intervening in the market, but there was none yesterday. After all the 64th independence anniversary celebration and all of that, I guess they decided to take a break, and this is what happened to the Naira. Lost more than 127 Naira in one trading session. Even though I hear it's the flip on the parallel market, there was a gain, but we'll talk more about that later on the program. Now, even though this may not be looking so good at this time, the consequences of the reforms led by President Bola Tinubu hasn't been friendly. I don't think anybody has escaped that negative consequences. Otumba Bimbo Ashiru, the chairman of Odua Group, says, let's still keep hope alive and believe that these reforms will certainly deliver some gains.
Most of these policies, they are tough ones. And it's just like when you start make a policy, even in your home, when you make some laws that look this, we are going to feel the pains, I can tell you that. But I can see the new policies that are coming up now, that are payments, settlements, will now be in Naira. It will strengthen our currency. Because when you say payment balance of settlement should be done in foreign exchange, in dollars, then it puts pressure on our Naira, because you need now start looking for dollars. And so many, it's a lot of supply and demand and supply. So if the demand outweighs supply, then there will be scarcity, there will be pressure on that thing. So I foresee a strong Naira in the next future, Hopefully by first quarter or second quarter of next year. For example, in Nimasa now, you pay Naira. Dangote refineries, once they supply this, you pay Naira. So, and I always tell people, Nigeria has no business being an import-dependent economy. We should be exporting a lot of things out of this country. And with that, we bring in so many foreign exchange.
I guess we have no choice but to keep believing. We cannot give up hope, right? Now let's look at what's going on with oil prices, which of course affect us. The Middle East has been tense in the last couple of days, where oil prices ticked higher in early trade on Thursday as investors weigh the escalating conflict in the Middle East and the potential for disruption to crude flows against ample supply in the global market. Look at Brent for this morning. It added 64 cents. 64 cents is about 0.87% right there. So it's at $74.54 a barrel. That's for Brent. WTI went up even more than that, more than 1% that it added. That's about 72 cents added to it in the last couple of hours. So it's $70.82 a barrel. And needless to say, the Middle East is a major driver of this. An Israeli strike on central Beirut's Bakura neighborhood early on Thursday left 2 people killed and 11 wounded. The Lebanese Health Ministry shared this in a statement. Iran was drawn into the conflict on Tuesday when it fired more than 180 ballistic missiles at Israel in an escalation of hostilities which has seeped out of Israel and Palestine into Lebanon and seems to be going further east. But an unexpected build in U.S. crude inventories on Wednesday kind of eased the price and supply concerns, but not enough, obviously. U.S. crude inventories rose 3.9 million barrels to 417 million barrels in the weekend of September 27. This is according to the Energy Information Administration. Also, there's expectation that it's going to go as high as 1.3 million barrel draw. Let's talk about this and the issue going on in the Middle East, how it's affecting us back here in Nigeria, knowing that our mainstay is the crude. We're having this conversation with Mr. Bismarck Rwani, the Chief Executive Officer of Financial Derivatives Company. Mr. Rwani, good morning.
Good morning, Ini. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so we see this surge in the price of global oil. That's supposed to be good for us, but I mean, there's also the other side of it. And this is even though we have still not gotten back to the $80, which has been like a resistance point for a long time now.
No, I think basically let us separate things that are exogenous and temporary from things that are fundamental. The crisis in the Middle East, because of what's happening in Lebanon, is a transient event. I think finally you will have a truce. But meanwhile, the price of Brent has gone up to $75 a barrel. Even at $75 a barrel, it's good for Nigeria in terms of our earnings, but our production is still below expectation. But what's happening here is that the effect of this is that the Naira has appreciated in parallel market. I saw your earlier presentation that it fell in the NAFEM market. But the reality is that those moves are to ensure unification of rates. The rates are virtually unified at about 1687 right now, which is good. Don't forget, it had got all the way to 1720. In the IATA market, therefore, selling of tickets, the Naira has appreciated to about 1689 as well. So that had gone to 1699 earlier. So we see that. What is the effect of this? The effect of this on domestic commodity prices as follows. One, we've seen domestic commodity prices drop. Mainly, pepper has fallen by 37% to 50,000 naira a bag. We've seen flour drop to 65,000 naira. Flour was up to 70,000 naira a bag. We've seen palm oil drop to 12% to 7,000 naira. And we've seen unfortunately, we've seen King's vegetable oil actually stay higher than usual at 12,500. We've seen onions come down sharply to 115,000 naira, and rice has also come down to 110,000. It was as high as 120. The commodity that is actually surprising everybody is beans. Beans has actually gone up. It's probably out of reach, but that's what we see. But when you come back, so the price of these commodities are coming down, one, because of harvest, two, because of improved logistics cost. But we are seeing the price of diesel going the other direction. Diesel is up to, it went from 1,150 to 1,200 naira yesterday. So we are beginning to see unification of rates between the price of diesel and the price of PMS. PMS, meanwhile, is trading at about 897 to 900 naira a liter. We expect it to increase to about 1,200 soon. Now, so go ahead, please.
I was just curious as to why diesel has increased by a whole more than 4%.
I didn't get that.
Diesel, the price of diesel. I'm wondering what's driving it, and it's gone up sharp, more than 4%.
No, but the point is that diesel is a product that comes from crude oil. If the price of crude oil increases, so the price of diesel will increase. So you can expect that. That's natural. But also, the demand for diesel is beginning to increase because people were carrying low inventory. They did not know what will happen come October 1. People were expecting prices to change. So people kept inventory low. Now that October 1 is here and the price has not changed, people are now going back in. But in the meantime, there are some shortages that we are beginning to witness, right? And that has become very clear, okay?
Then also I wanted to ask Mr. Rwani, so we see because of harvest, a lot of the commodities, especially the perishables, are reducing, but beans has been up. I don't think I've seen it reduce for a couple of months. Is there any particular thing that is affecting the price of
No,
goods?
no. There are three things that are happening. One, the harvest season, so we are getting to say products. Two is the flooding. So even if there's a harvest, flooding has affected the roads and the logistics cost, and has also destroyed a lot of the goods. But meanwhile, because of high interest rates and heavy cost of carrying inventory, some farmers are beginning to sell. They're beginning to sell at fire sale price and knock off things. So we see that happen generally. There's no doubt about that. But you have to bear in mind, one is the cost of the commodity, two is the cost of international price, the international price of those goods in the global markets, and three is the cost of moving those products from farm to the markets. So all of these things put together, and the opportunity cost of carrying cash and carrying inventory, these things have brought about price adjustments. Also, please note that people do not have purchasing power. A lot of the income of Nigerians has been eroded because of inflation on one hand and because of currency depreciation on the other. So they cannot buy with what they don't have. So that is beginning to have an effect on the price of commodities. So for now, we think that in spite of everything, we think that inflation will still increase. Food inflation in particular will increase to 34. Headline inflation will increase to 34%. But this is only temporary. When the imported commodities that are going to enjoy the duty waiver come into the country, you will see that those prices begin to actually reduce. We've seen that in wheat flour. Wheat has come down from 70,000, 71,000, all the way to 65, and we expect it to drop to 59,000 when those ships begin to get docked in Nigeria this week or next week.
Yeah, but it's a short-term thing. I mean, it's supposed to be over by December.
Yes, it's not that short term. You see, there are times of the year when the price of commodities reduce. And at the same time, that is the time of the year when Nigerian visiting friends and relatives are coming back. So we see the Naira appreciation. When you put all of this together, you will have a mildly stronger Naira, you will have lower price of goods, and then you will have the cost of moving the goods from farms to markets, all having an effect on domestic commodity prices in the near term. So generally speaking, I think let's keep our breaths, and we should expect that prices will stabilize in the next couple of weeks. But don't forget the Christmas season is here, and once the Christmas season comes in, the demand for commodities increases, and the prices begin to go up again in December. So let's not get too excited. We are here. This is going to be a very long, painful recovery. And
wow.
That's the story of life.
Wow. Reality. Thank you so much, Mr. Bismarck-Orani, for your thoughts and perspective this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, it's Global Investor Week. How does that concern you? Are you an investor? Do you want to be initiated to be an investor? We'll have that conversation after the break right here on Business Morning on Sunrise Daily. Welcome back to watching Business Morning on Sunrise Daily. It's World Investor Week this whole week, and the Securities and Exchange Commission say they have a role to play, at least right here in Nigeria. So we're speaking now to Frana Chukwuogo. Chukwuogo is the Executive Commissioner, Legal and Enforcement at Securities and Exchange. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us this morning, Ms. Chukwuogo.
Morning, Ini.
Great. So talking about the World Investor Week, these days everybody seems to be looking for a hedge with inflation, especially here in Nigeria, not friendly at all. And the MPC is still maintaining that hawkish stance. How important is this week? I don't think a lot of Nigerians actually participate. So let's start with knowing what this week is about as the Investor Week, and what we should be doing or what we should know as Nigerians about it.
Thank you, Ini. Well, let me just give a little bit of background about what even the World Investor Week is about. The World Investor Week is the week that is dedicated to investors. This program was initiated by IOSCO. IOSCO is International Organization for Securities Commission. They are the global standard setter for securities regulation. So for IOSCO, they want every regulator to understand the importance of the investor in the capital market space. Without an investor, there cannot be a capital market. So IOSCO decides that every year, it's a yearly program. For 1 week, you focus on investors. You focus on educating them on trends. You focus on opening their eyes as to some of the things they can do to be better protected. And IOSCO this year has a theme for this Investor Week. It's about technology, it's about digital assets, it's about sustainable finance. The only asset an investor has is really education and knowledge. A knowledgeable investor will be better protected. A knowledgeable investor will make better investment decisions. A knowledgeable investor would know when not to invest and will know where to go and what to invest in. So if you ask why investors may be interested at this point, nobody ever knows it all, and you can never know too much, not even as an investor. There would always be emerging trends. And for those emerging trends, you want to educate yourself even more. For the SEC, investor education is something we do on an ongoing basis, but we are focusing more on it this week because over 100 regulators from over 100 jurisdictions in the world are participating in this particular program. From October 7th to October 11th, the program will be running. For us at the SEC, we will be using our zonal offices in Kano, Port Harcourt, and in Lagos, and the head office. We will run investor clinics where investors can come in. They can come in and do their e-dividend mandating. They can even open new investment accounts. They can come and talk to registrars. They can come and talk to stockbrokers or investment experts as to some of the issues concerning maybe portfolio selection or even investment. And for the SEC, we'll have a desk where they can come and tell us some of the other issues that plague them. They can also make complaints. So these are some of the things we are planning. And in addition, we'll be having lectures series. We will be going to tertiary institutions. We'll be partnering with every registered exchange, commodities and securities exchange, and capital market operators to make sure that investors actually have a good outcome from this year.
Interesting that you have that clinic planned out, and I guess investors would really...
There's an expected outcome. Some of the things that we expect as an outcome would be the investors will leave this a little bit better informed. Also, the investors would have the ability to be a bit more critical in some of the choices that they make, and they will know where to go, especially come to the SEC to see if the investments they are making are licensed, if the persons that are offering them those investments are persons that are licensed. So these are some of the outcomes that we will be expecting. Thank you.
Do people have to register ahead before they can be part of it? Do investors have to register ahead before they can be part of this clinic and event?
Oh, not at all. There's no pre-registration required, especially for the clinics, because an investor who has an issue wants to walk up to someone and talk to you about the issues that they have. So there's no pre-registration that is required.
All right. I wonder if, I know you were supposed to do this at the event, but, are there some red flags that, some Ponzi schemes that scream out danger that investors, that you can actually give tips of for people to know and look out for?
Sorry, that question, it was a bit muffled, so I didn't quite hear you, but I want to believe what you're asking is whether if there are red flags that investors can actually look out for. If there are pointers we can give to investors.
Exactly, that's it.
So, yes, The one major problem in the investment arena for investors is Ponzi schemes and illegal schemes. These schemes are not registered by us, being the securities regulator. What we want investors to take away from this week is having that ability to identify some of these schemes. So let me give you an example. If you're a registered scheme, of course you are registered, and you've gone through some kind of process to be sure that you're fit and proper, whether it's you, the person providing the service, or is the product that you're bringing into the market. But for a Ponzi scheme, there's no registration, there's no vetting. These are just schemes that collect money from investors. First comers have the opportunity to be paid with money collected from later investors. These investments offer very high returns, and there's no consequent risk. There's no investment that can give you such high return without any risk. So if anybody is approaching any investor, offering you any investment that has very high returns, and there's no risk that is being disclosed, the investor would have to be wary. If you cannot find this in particular service provider or anybody offering you investment on the list of people registered with the SEC on our website, that is a red flag. If someone comes to you and is offering you an investment opportunity and you're asking questions and they're very reluctant about answering your questions, that in itself is a red flag. If someone walks up to you, tells you for an investment that you're making that you should try and procure additional investors, that is something to be very wary of. So in summary, if anybody walks up to an investor and is offering you something that looks too good to be true, it is absolutely too good to be true. And so you should be very wary of that investment. And we are saying to investors, when you see this, try and use licensed stockbrokers or investment managers or advisors that have been licensed by the Securities and Exchange Commission to make this kind of decisions.
So if it looks too good to be true, then it actually is not true. Thank you so much, Frana Chikogo, Executive Commissioner, Legal and Enforcement at Securities and Exchange Commission.
Very much, Ine. Thank you.
Let's do a bit of markets now before we head back to the Sunrise Daily Studio. Yesterday, the NGX dropped intraday and sustained that to the close of trade. So we had a red market at the close of Wednesday's trade. The market went down 0.33%. That means 188 billion naira was reduced from the market cap. But I mean, we're still looking strong, around 56 1 trillion naira for the market cap. Activity chart yesterday was mostly red. Volume was down more than 77%. Value more than 92%. And then deals, even though it's high, well, it's high and was in the positive 12.99%. Sectors, we saw banking lose more than 2% at the close of trade. Consumer goods, however, in the positive. Industrial goods, slightly positive. Insurance, penny stocks picked up yesterday. Oil and gas, the almighty reigning oil and gas, has, however, seems to be losing out a bit now. Profit taking, catching up on that. Top trades yesterday, mostly from the financial services, UBA, Zenith Bank, and various cap right there. Now we go to other markets now. The fixed income market yesterday. There's the forecast that for this quarter, it's going to be a bit more quiet because the government may not be as aggressive as they've been to raise money from there, especially when you look at the debt servicing. At this time, we saw the credit to government increased. I think about 77% is what we have. So this market may not be very active, but we'll see. There might be surprises. You know, so federal government bonds yesterday, 46 deals worth 85.9 billion naira. And we saw that a lot of activities around the January 2026 and May 2030. Those are the long term. We go to the Treasury. You know, this one is where people hop in and out easily, mostly short term. So we saw 28 deals worth 69.25. And there you have it, just next year, February, this matures, September, everything is there, because this is where it easily happens. And we can see that's the most favored there, the security of February 2025, 2025. Omo from the central bank, only 4 deals yesterday worth 12 billion. And once again, February 2025 is right there. And the more favored one, 10 billion naira, is the worth of activity that happened in that market yesterday. So that's what the market looked like at the close of trade on Wednesday. We'll obviously bring you more at 1 p.m. I'll be back here at 1 p.m. with Aniti Ede to give you intraday numbers as well as other trending stories from the world of business. And we did promise yesterday that we will give you highlights of Channel's forum, our focus on the economy, that will be on Business Incorporated. Now let's head back to the Sunrise Daily studio.